Uh-oh. It looks like the Shredhead has hardwired these things for havoc. Here's your look at the NECA Toys Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cartoon Evil Rex. Based on the 1980s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon series, the first robot policeman, known as Robot Enforcer Experiment, now has a diabolical duplicate. Shredder's army of evil Rex 1 robots are here to take control of your toy shelf and terminate the Turtles once and for all. See? This is why you don't let the bad guys get the blueprints. Just before we get a closer look at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon series Evil Rex 1, first, I'd like to thank the folks over at NECA Toys that were kind enough to provide this sample we could have a look at. Second, as you probably can already see, I've taken the tape measure, and it's going to tell us that the doppelganger of Rex 1 is going to stand 8.5 inches in height. It is, you can see it for yourself. Or the figure is going to be about 21.5 centimeters tall. This die-cast doppelganger of Rex 1 comes to us from Season 2, Episode 10, New York's Shiniest, in which Shredder gets his hands on the blueprints and basically essentially takes Rex 1, which we have right here, and makes evil copies of him. I'm sure I wasn't the only one that made this assumption that when we first had a look at Rex 1, the logical next steps for this mold were that simply NECA would have just re-released it in the darker colors and given us the evil Rex 1 carbon copies. Obviously, that seems to be the case that they've done right here. There are some things, though, that they have changed. Notably, though, you can see like Rex 1 still would have had his police badge. I mean, these guys are bad guys after all. There's no need for badges. So he doesn't have the badge on his chest. He doesn't have the badge on his hat. And you can see he's got much more eviler looking eyes. Comparing him as well with the Turtles. I think we did this the first time we had to look at these as well. The Turtles are only going to be going to about the waist area. I decided also as well to go with the lime green colored Turtles because this is like later into the season. I want to kind of keep the colors matching appropriately. Here's what the figure looks like also with April O'Neil. And of course the man behind the scenes, the man responsible for creating the carbon copies of Rex. Here's what the Shredder looks like with the evil Rex ones. And again, why not? He knows a little something about making robots, or Krang knows a little something about making robots. Here's what the figure looks like with not just one, but two different variations of Foot Soldier. I almost feel like if they are going to be evil copies of Rex 1, they should have also had themselves mustaches. Isn't that something that was always the case when an evil version of a character would pop up in a TV series? They would either have a sash or they have a mean-looking mustache or goatee. Probably could have done something similar to Rex. As though for the accessories that come included with the character, right now he does have closed fists on the ends of his forearms. That can be easily rectified though, because the character comes included with a couple of gripping hands. Panel lining on all of these is really good as well. Not only do you get the dividing sections of knuckles, but also as well they've detailed the front portion, the front top piece of the hands as well. And again, these would just simply pop out from the hands that he has. The figure also comes included with a couple of trigger firing finger hands. Nicely done there as well. Very clean too on these paint jobs. You can see like there's nothing really missed at all, nor has the lines found their way onto other areas. I mean, the panel lining on these is top notch. Character also comes included with a couple of gestured hands. Get a good look at these. And finally, the figure also comes with a pair of relaxed hands. Now, what you can also do, too, is he's not going to be holding much of anything right now because he does have closed fists. But what you could do, is that you can swap the hands out. So again, what we'll do is first we'll hold onto the forearms, just kind of wiggle the hands from the posts, just like this. If you're having problems, by the way, doing this, stop what you're doing. Don't keep continuing to think that you can just keep wiggling it back and forth, pulling it off if there's resistance. Stop, go, grab yourself a hairdryer, heat it up a little bit, and you might find it's a lot easier to remove the hands. Where were we? Okay, so pop the new hands then back in place. I'm only going to be using these hands, at least for right now. We're probably going to be changing things up a little bit when we get to the final looks of the figure. Again, just twist it back in place. And when that's in place, then the figure can finally hold his included other accessories. He comes included a pair of blasters. These blasters, in fact, are very similar, other than just the colors of the choices that they went with. I mean, the darker gray was belonging to the original Rex, and then, of course, the dark black now gets treated to the evil doppelgangers. They attach to the hands the exact same way, so basically what you want, I want to make sure I'm grabbing the right hands here. What you'll do, I want to make sure I've got the right hand, too. If you look at it, see there's a handle, and then see there's a loop below it. What you do is you basically just fit this around his hand. So when you kind of put it in and you twist it around. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Put it on an angle, twist it around, and then the robot can actually carry around his blasters that way. And of course, you can just repeat the process and do it on the other side as well. What you could do too is what Rex did as well. Just take the blasters, just move his arms out of the way. If you locate on the side here, there's these half circles. Well, I guess that would be a full circle, but it's just a flat circle. See, there's a little slot right here. If you take the blasters, I want to make sure I've got it facing the right way. The blasters have this little lip of plastic. See that? See that? See that? That's going to plug right into that slot. So you do it on one side. There we go. And you can do the exact same thing on, yeah, you guessed it, the other side there as well. So there's some storage space for that as well. The one other thing that the character comes included with, I guess a couple of other things as well, probably will involve me having to remove the blasters, also comes included with a megaphone. So you could really have this displayed with the evil Rex ones if you prefer, or I might just end up displaying this with the original Rex one. I just think that's a little bit more appropriate to a nicer police cop as opposed to an evil robot. But again, that's also just going to fit in his hands. What you could do too is that you can also use like one of these hands too. And these are fairly soft enough in plastic. You just get the handle of the megaphone, kind of just get it around really the thumb. And again, if you're having a struggle doing this, it almost seems like for a second I'm having a struggle. Maybe it is because I am. Anyways, you just basically fit that in his hands, and now the evil robot can also have himself the megaphone. And again, if you wanted to, use it with the original Rex one, which again is probably something I'm going to end up doing. The last thing the character comes included with, and I really like these, is little firing effects. There's a red one and there's a blue one. You could treat that the red one's going to belong to the evil version, kind of course matching the colors of his visor, and that the blue one is also going to be then for the original Rex one. So you basically just take Rex's blaster, this is with the original one, and then this rectangular piece, I'm sure you already know, it's going to go right in here, just plugs in place like that. So you've got the blaster shooting blue. What you could do then is take the black one. This basically follows the format and laws of like Jedi lightsabers. Blue is going to be good, red is going to be evil, or Sith. And that basically just plugs in place. So now you've got the blue and you've got the red. They're not even quite similar to one another either. That it isn't just a case like NECA took one mold and just cast it again in different plastic. You can see one is notably shorter, and it also is a little bit more of a translucent red plastic, whereas this one is a little harder to kind of see anything waving behind it. Putting all those things to the side. Getting a closer look, though, at the figure. Now, again, like, there are some things. It isn't just the case that they took the original Rex one, which I just happen to, again, have right here. If you're looking at things like his arms, they're going to be exactly the same. Things like his torso are the same as well. Even like the legs don't share really any differences from one to the other. The more notable changes are kind of more just cosmetic, kind of decorative things. So Rex 1 before would have had the little badge, as you can see on the front of his chest. Also would have had Rex-1. The new ones actually now only have Rex. They've done away with 1 because obviously it's not the original one anymore. No longer now there's the badge, and no longer is there a badge on the top of the head. All of those have been done away. The thing I think is really fun, though, is that if you're looking at the head sculpts, though, see how his straight visor looks like something, in fact, Bebop would wear, but it's straight across. If you look, though, at the visor that's now for the evil Rex ones, now you can see that they angle towards, kind of in towards his mouth. So right away, you know the robot's evil. It still does have one thing that the original Rex one would have had, a mouth guard, so it does open, but it doesn't open to the degree of the original Rex. So I'm just going to put this one down here for a second. Bring back in the original Rex. There seemed to be a little bit more space here where you could, in fact, open up the mouth, and you can see there's a little slot right there. There was also, I think, as well, a tongue piece, too. But this does open and close. It does open, though, on the evil version, but it doesn't open, even like bringing the head back a bit, it doesn't seem to open as well. I don't know if they maybe just made the head a little bit more closer, maybe made the neck post a little shorter, but it doesn't seem to open with ease that the original Rex one would have had. The dark gray works really well, and I think the red works to pop on the colors very nicely, too. Again, the Rex you got there, that's in red. You've got little buttons there also on the sides. That would be red. The original one would have had that in white, and white down below there as well. Like with the original Rex, there's also these front panels that open up. And these are just on hinges, so carefully you just lift these up, and you can see the inner working of the robot. And holding that the way it is right now, I'm going to go ahead and just open up Rex's. And why I'm opening these is just to show you that they are exactly the same to one another. The only thing I really wish that this set could have also came included with, more not necessarily for the original Rex one, but now more to the evil Rexes. I wish they had like little electric like spark effects that they could have attached on the inside of the like the little chest pieces, just so it looked like the robots were malfunctioning. Something just along those lines I think would have been nice additional welcomed pieces. But other than that, though, I mean, other than just a few things that I pointed out here, the robots are essentially identical. It's just a color changing of the plastic. That's about it. Let's just lower these right now. I have noticed, though, over the time that I've had these, that the panels have gotten a little looser. Especially this one right here. I don't remember it being as loose as it is, but I mean, they're only ever going to really stay closed anyways. It's not always the case. I'm just going to want to have them always open. I think if I end up getting more than one of these, I'd actually have to have, I think I'd like to have one of them open like this, so it looks like Shredder's working away on fixing one of them, and then have a couple of them. I mean, I keep continuing to say I'd like to get a couple of these. I mean, who am I kidding? I mean, just with, you know, again, the prices of some of these as they go, especially to order them online. Just happy again to have just one version of them, with hopefully the idea in mind down the road. Maybe I get more than one. For the figure's articulation, though, it's going to be exactly the same as the original Rex. So the head's going to be on a ball joint. It looks back and forth, and in all intents and purposes, you could rotate all the way around as well. Still, though, there seems to be something that's limiting the mouth guard from actually dropping all the way down. You can see that there seems to be still a slit behind the scenes. You just can't actually open the mouth. I kind of actually like it a little higher than this. It looks like the old Rankin Bass Wizard of Oz cartoon. That looked like the Tin Man. There's no, you can't do anything with really the hat. The hat doesn't remove, it doesn't rotate or anything along those lines. The upper torso, though, is going to be on a ball joint, and that's to the extent of how much it can rotate. While it looks like, though, there's a slot right here where you'd be able to turn the waist, doesn't seem to be the case at all. The arms come out, and they come out about 90 degrees or so. You can take the arms and you can rotate them all the way around, and all the way around. One thing, though, too, is that the plastic feels pretty good on these. For the size of the characters, even like when NECA's doing like the smaller size turtles, the plastic is generally quite good. I never really have those kind of worries that, you know, maybe for perhaps other figure companies out there, where like if you start to rotate things, I know in the past like NECA's had problems when it comes to like their cult classic figures, or even for that matter, like maybe sometimes even their Predator figures. I've never really had any issues with their turtle figures. Like the plastic, it's kind of got a little more of a density to it, but it feels... Now, this would be a horrible description to describe this as, but it feels a little bit like an eraser if an eraser wasn't rubbery. It's kind of got that kind of smooth feel to it, that it feels like there's a little bit more give to it. The figure does have a single hinge only in the elbow. Sadly, though, it doesn't rotate at the forearm, so when you do any rotation, it's only going to rotate here at the bicep. Hands rotate all the way around. You can hinge them back and forth as well. As for the legs split out. Now, with the way that they've got these discs on the side, the discs are attached here and here. So when you're swiveling out the legs like this, you can really feel that it starts to push these out. You just want to be careful that you don't push them all the way out and they fall off the figure. Legs go forward, legs go back. There is a mild swivel. I shouldn't even say mild. That's a fair decent swivel at the top of the thigh. A single hinge only on the knee, and like with the original Rex one, there's ankle articulation where you can move it back and forth this way, and an ankle rocker as well. Again, by no real surprise, this guy got released. The first time I looked at the original Rex one, which I still think is one of the coolest looking figures we've gotten. A very deep cut, obviously. But when we did get that first Rex one, I certainly did think that, and I'm sure many people also thought this as well, that we were eventually going to be getting the evil carbon copies of Rex. And that's essentially what we've gotten here. From the standpoint of what we get for accessories, I'm glad that we get ourselves like the megaphone. That's a nice little included touch. So even if I don't really decide to display the megaphone with the evil version, the hands also too, something else is that they're using the exact same color. So like with this one, I can easily just pop the hand off from the end forearm of Rex and just display it with the megaphone instead. Might just end up doing that. Of course, you get also as well some included new blast effects pieces. You got the red for obviously the evil version of Rex. You got the blue now that you can use for the original Rex one. Nice releases on this one. The figure is also really using a lot of plastic. Always one of those things that NECA does that really, you know, when you think about it, the figures aren't charged overly inflated, at least in the standpoint of what the costs are going for them. I mean, for a Rex, he's going to be a little bit more than a regular Ninja Turtle figure, but not a whole lot, though. If you do get a chance, and you were a big fan of the original Rex 1, the new evil version of Rex should be available right now either in stores or online. As we jump over to the turntable, oh, wait a minute, what's Shredder doing here? Well, I thought if Shredder was responsible for making the evil Rexes after all, then the character could pop up as the figure rotates on the rotisserie. Looking at the mold the first time with the OG Rex one, we all made the connected dots that sooner rather than later NECA would be releasing the mold again in the evil Rexes. It isn't one of those cases where the company was just being cheap. Let's get more mileage out of a mold and just recreate a character that never existed in cartoon canon. The evil Rexes also appeared in the same episode as Rex 1, New York's shiniest. So logically, this character is just as canon as the original Rex 1, and I'm glad we finally got a release of it. The darker colors approach with the plastic. I think I like the dark grays really nicely on this figure. Of course, you got some nice red accents. It still has all the same things that the original Rex 1, although I noticed though with the mouth plate, it doesn't seem to have as much freedom to move as the original Rex 1 seemed to have. It still has the blasting guns. It has now blast effects, which is a nice touch. You can have the red for the evil Rex. You can have the blue for the original OG Rex. And now it comes with an included megaphone. The figure does have still the same articulation where it counts, although again, like with the mouth, I don't know why it doesn't move as much as it did, but I'm glad to finally have this one as part of my collection. I did say though in the review, I could see myself getting more than one of these. A lot of times, just to be all honest, I don't usually pick up any more figures just with the price of wanting to get other things that NECA's putting out regularly. I don't have a lot of times to usually go back and pick up multiples of one thing. Foot soldiers tend to be the exception to that, or those sewer xenomorphs that we got from the earlier season. I picked up a couple of those as well. But usually a lot of times, even if I say in the review, man, I'd love to get more than one of these, a lot of times I don't. This one, though, I'm just happy to have. I feel just the one, the character as a whole has been well done here by NECA. Missing, I think, perhaps one other thing. I do wish that it had some short-circuiting effects that could have been attached on the inside of his body torso. Other than that, though, I'm really happy with how this one turned out. What do you guys think of the evil Rexes? Let me know down below in the comments section. Have you guys had the chance to pick this one up? Or is this one on your radar as well? Big thank you once again to the folks over at NECA that provide the sample we could have a look at. If you guys did enjoy this video, throw it a like. If you guys are loving the content, yeah, and you want to stick around for more, sure. Hit the subscribe, turn on the bell, come back please. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you next time.